Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And today we are going to talk about sleep. Sleep is such a beautiful thing. You gotta admit it, when you've had a great night's sleep, we wake up feeling alive and vibrant, and we look alive and vibrant when we slept well. There's so much to know about sleep and what it does for us and what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Today we'll talk a little bit about the hormone cortisol and how important it is for our sleep-wake cycle and what that does for having a good night's sleep. We'll talk about what happens when we don't get enough sleep, and we'll talk about what happens when we do get enough sleep. Then I'll give you a bunch of tips to help out for a restful night. So let's look at what happens to us when we don't get enough sleep. There are certain activities that our body and brain undergoes when we're sleeping that it cannot do at any other time. Our brains detox when we're sleeping. That helps restore the hormone cortisol. Cortisol is our queen hormone, our wake sleep hormone, our stress hormone. Our cortisol is restored when we have restful sleep. When we don't get enough sleep, our cortisol can play havoc with us because it doesn't allow it to rise and fall when it's supposed to, which can play havoc on all other hormones. Cortisol is a key hormone to sleep. If our cortisol is rising when it's supposed to fall, we are not going to have a restful sleep. When we're stressed out, when we're not sleeping enough, our cortisol has a tendency to rise and again play havoc on our sleep patterns. So we need to look at what is happening in our lives when it comes to getting enough sleep and keeping our stress in control. Again, when our cortisol is out of control, that means a lot of our other hormones will tend to go out of control. So we really need to take a look at these restful things that we can do to help keep our cortisol in check. Okay, let's take a look at the effects of long-term sleep loss. Sleep loss inflicts devastating effects on our brain, linking to neurological conditions and diseases such as Alzheimer's, anxiety, depression, suicide, bipolar disorder, stroke, chronic pain, cancer, heart attacks, diabetes, obesity, autoimmune disease, poor concentration, memory loss. The list goes on and on and on. As adults over 50, we require 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night on a regular basis. If we are not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep on a regular basis, we play havoc on our health. We increase our risks of disease and neurological disorders, and we play havoc with our health. So let's take a look at what we can do when we have a great night's sleep, how our health can be affected in positive ways by, again, getting a great restful sleep. Sleep makes us live longer, and that's a beautiful thing. It enhances your memory, it makes you more creative, it makes you look more attractive, it keeps us slim and lowers our food cravings, it protects us from cancers and dementia, it wards off flus and colds, it lowers our risk to heart attack, stroke, and diabetes, and it makes us feel happier. It makes us less depressed, and it makes us less anxious. And who doesn't want that? Sleep is the cure to good health. We need to be sleeping more. Let's take a look at 12 awesome tips that can set us up for a great night's sleep. Tip number 1, stick to the same sleep schedule every night, even on the weekends. This is probably the number 1 important thing that you can do for yourself. It keeps our circadian clock in check. Tip number 2, exercise every day, but make sure you do it at least 3 hours before you go to bed. You don't want to do it too close to bedtime because we want to bring that sympathetic nervous system down and bring ourselves into the parasympathetic where we're nice, rest and digest. Tip number 3, avoid caffeine and nicotine. These are 2 stimulants, especially caffeine, stays in your system for up to 6 to 8 hours after having it. So try to finish with caffeine by 2 p.m. That will help you with your sleep also. Tip number 4, avoid alcohol. So alcohol, a lot of people think it relaxes us, it makes us have a better sleep, but it actually does not put us into a deep sleep. It actually hampers with our REM sleep, which is really our deep, deep sleep. So avoid alcohol. If you do have alcohol, try and have it 4 hours before you go to bed so it's able to burn out of your system. Tip number 5. Avoid large meals and beverages before you go to bed. Large meals can hamper with our digestion, and beverages are going to make you want to pee and be in the bathroom more than you want to. You want to be sleeping. Tip number 6, if possible, try and avoid medications that you're on before you go to bed that hamper with your sleep. So it's a good idea to talk to your pharmacist to find out if any of your medications will hamper you with sleep and if you can take them earlier on in the day. Don't sleep after 3 if you are napping, because again, it will disturb you after 3 o'clock. It won't allow you to have a restful sleep at night. Tip number 8, I think I forgot, that was tip number 7. Tip number 8 is relax before you go to bed. So find something relaxing to do. Read a book, listen to some nice music. It will wind you down. It'll bring your sympathetic nervous system down, bring us into parasympathetic nervous system, where it's again rest and digest. And tip number 9, have a bath. It tends to cool us down once we get out and bring our body temperature to a good temperature and relax us before we go to bed. Tip number 10, don't have anything in your room that will hamper rest, sleep. Don't have iPads, laptops, iPhones, anything with blue light, as that hampers our melatonin. When we go to bed at night, we need darkness for our melatonin to rise, and that's what we need for a good night's sleep. So again, no TVs, no iPads, no laptops, no iPhones, anything with blue light. Keep your room cool, keep your room dark, and that will give for a restful sleep also. Tip number 11, get outside during the day. Daylight is so important for our good night's sleep. Get out there and get that sunshine in your life. Try and spend 30 minutes out there during the day to, again, get that sunlight that is much needed for a restful sleep. And tip number 12, if you go to bed and you find that you can't sleep, don't just lie there. Get up, grab a book, sit on the sofa, read the book until you feel sleepy, then go to bed. And remember, it's preferred not to use prescription medication for sleep because it gives us a distorted sleep pattern. It doesn't give us the restorative brain waves we need, and it creates more of a rebound insomnia. So if you are on prescription medication, I would recommend seeing your doctor. Ask to see a sleep specialist who can direct you in the right direction when it comes to more of a natural way of finding a good night's sleep. Those were my top 12 tips for a better night's sleep. Now, if you've ever struggled from sleep insomnia or any sleep issues, there is definitely help out there, and these tips can help. But if you truly think you do have insomnia, which I have suffered from in my past life, it can be very debilitating. Again, you lack poor concentration, you just can't think, you gain weight. It's an ongoing struggle, and it really, really puts havoc on our health. There's a lot of great information out there, and there's a lot of help. I'm gonna just pull up my book right now here. This is my favorite book on sleep. It's called Why We Sleep, and it's by Matthew Walker. He is a sleep scientist, and this book has so much information on sleep and, again, on what happens to us when we don't get enough sleep, like we've just talked about, and what sleep really does for good health. I recommend picking up this book. It's amazing. I could read it over and over again and listen to it over and over again. It has so many tips and just unbelievable information that I would have never thought of. So again, if you are interested in learning more about sleep. And if you do suffer from any type of sleep problems, pick up this book. It's awesome. Anyways, I hope that you guys got a lot out of this, and you take these 12 tips and you try them out and you let me know how you feel. I will see you in the next one.